Good afternoon, everyone. We will be getting started in about 5 minutes here with our series for today, which is going to be Yang Wen-Li against Destar. This is a series from the Emperor of the Hill uh, show match series being organized by Montana. This is round 7 of the first season of the show match series. It'll be a very exciting set of games, and I look forward to seeing what both players pull out. So I will see you all in a couple of minutes here as we wait for folks to filter on in. All right, boys and girls, got my coffee, got the replays loaded up here. Let us switch the scene over. Get into this. Hopefully. Come on. Of course, it's probably gonna break because the fun of streaming is every time you try to stream, something breaks. Ah, I see the issue. Got the wrong scene input there. Perfect. There we go. Alrighty. Let us jump in here to our series for today. It's going to be Yang Wen-Li against Destar. This is going to be a matchup of Dark Eldar versus Orcs. And this is a 5-game series, and we'll be playing all 5 games regardless of how they go. So unlike a traditional best of 5, where we might end early if, say, one player gets a definitive win, they take 3 games, we'll be playing all 5 games regardless today. So let us load up game 1 here. We'll be playing the first one on Fata Morgha. This is the remastered version of Fata Morgha. We have Mad Destar here, loading in on the top side. And on the bottom side of the map, we have Yang Wen-Li loading in with the Dark Eldar. Out of Destar here, we see 2 Slugga Boys, Gretchen Squad, Boys Hut, Generator. This is very standard Orc opening. Something we see all the time out of Orcs. Be interested to see what his cap order looks like here. It's somewhat common to see people capture this outer point on Fata Morgha and secure it early and then kind of work their way back from a pathing perspective. Because this can be quite hard to secure, especially if you secure it later in the game. On the side of Yang Wen-Li, I would be shocked if these 2 slave chambers stay, but we're seeing Dark Foundry. Yep, those get deleted. And then capping our first point, taking a more conservative cap order here, but still going to the outside point with the second Mandrake squad. This looks like a double Hellion opener, just judging by the fact that he didn't immediately place the Homunculus slab. And actually, we have 3 squads of Mandrakes. So on the side of Yang Wen-Li, we see some aggression already starting. Reinforce this Mandrake squad by 1 member, going to disrupt capping the relic point here. And this is where we see the early cap of this point paying off. If this was not capped already, you could potentially disrupt and disturb capping this point, or even get a decap on it. But because it's already been capped and a listening post is already built on it, we see that there's really not an opportunity to do that. We see the Hellions coming in. No second Hellion squad, just the extra Mandrake squad. See an attempt to place a minefield here. This is pretty typical against Dark Eldar's way of protecting your points here from being harassed by Hellions and the jet bikes that will surely be coming soon. On this side, we see some Slugga Boys fighting with the Mandrakes over here. So both players preventing the capture of the relic point to an extent. But here, these Mandrakes and Hellions are actually not able to fully prevent the capture of this relic, whereas Yang has still not got his relic. So we'll make up for it a little bit here with the capture of this critical location. But the relic will be delayed by quite a bit for Yang. It takes a minute to capture it, and he is just now starting it. See some fairly aggressive play here, trying to trade with these Slugga Boys and slow down his opponent here. The question for me is, what are we going to see out of Destar here? See typical things right now in terms of just building up the WA banners, but the next thing is going to be usually a pile of guns. Then you have many options as Orc from there in terms of how you want to approach this matchup. You can try to play defensive, tech quickly, and get vehicles out, which can be quite strong, especially against the jet bike build here. You can also go with a alternative option of, say, massing up shooter boys and getting big shooters and trying to do kind of a timing push before your opponent hits critical mass. Got all sorts of options like that. That's without even touching on tank busters and the options there. We see currently just building up there. A little bit of harass coming in to get this point here. Gonna get a decap on it, maybe? No. But this tortured slave surely dies. Yes. See the mandrakes coming in for tie-up here on the slugga boys. These hellions kind of just chilling over here. One jet bike out. Gonna get a pretty good number of shooter boys there, so I guess cost effectively a decent trade because you get the strategic point plus the listening post for the cost of some shooter boys. But when you're retreating like this against even a single jet bike, you tend to lose quite a few models. So we shall see how this is going to go. Yang kind of banking resources right now makes me think maybe he's going to go for a fast tier 2. Already has second generator as well.
6 minutes until take and hold victory.
Recapping this critical location, Mandrake's still coming in. I don't think you're going to get much done here against an LP2 plus 2 WA banners. I think in all likelihood you're going to end up with quite a few of your units just dying here. We did indeed see a fast tech, no pile of guns, straight into a mech shop from the Orc player, getting a war track out. So that effectively is going to end the jet bike harass here, because we are at the point here where the jet bikes are not really going to do a whole lot. They're just going to end up getting killed by the war track if they go in hard. So, as the Dark Eldar, you're going to have to find an alternate option here of how to play the map. Hey, buddy. Trying to get into the cast too, buddy. You want to watch the game? See, just bonked my headphones, buddy. So we see some harass going on here. You don't need to pull the microphone closer, bud. But we see a raider coming out and some scourges coming out as well. Gonna need the scourges to deal with the vehicle mass out of the orcs here on the side of the Dark Eldar. But we do see some good multi-prong fighting here, using these jet bikes and mandrakes to do a bit of harass over here, deny capping this critical location. So forcing Destar to play over here and try to do some damage on the other side of the map. Bringing these back, you got to be really careful with the jet bikes because this one war track can kill them very, very quickly. Buddy, can't be grabbing the microphone. See, Dark Lances already added to these two Scourge squads, but we're seeing some tie-up here by the Shooter Boys and the Big Mech to keep the Scourges from being very effective at killing these vehicles. In fact, they have not killed one yet, but we see that there are two jet bikes already down, and this one is likely not long for this world. Luckily dodges that shot from the war track, otherwise that would have been a very dead jet bike. We do see some souls coming in from the slave chamber here, which is going to be very, very important and impactful here in the fights to come. Souls, very important resource for Dark Eldar. The various abilities you get from the souls can make or break a fight, especially at this stage of the game. See some tank bustas being added on, the pile of guns finally added on here. Blastier and heavy bore armor getting researched, pretty typical there once you get a pile of guns. See 3 of these war trucks out, and these war trucks are going to be pretty effective against the mandrakes. They will not be long for this world. I also like the stealth Gretchens here because it means you can bring some Gretchens along and use them to repair the vehicles in combat. And with this build, the only real detection you would have would either be the soul power ability for vision, or alternatively building a homunculus. But the homunculus is not going to do very much against these vehicles. So the Gretchen here, so you're seeing you can kind of pull a vehicle back, task the Gretchen to repair it. Vehicle, or that war truck does go down to these raiders, and this is a good mix in order to deal with vehicles using a combination of raiders and scourges. Scourges have higher DPS than the raider, but the raiders are a little bit more tanky and can sit there and kind of absorb some shots a little bit better. So this makes for a little bit tankier army that has enough DPS to nuke down these vehicles even under the repair from the Gretchen. We do see some Storm Boys being added on here, which will make short work of these Scourges if they can get on top of them and stay on top of them. We see Yang being very intelligent about trying to pull his opponent in different directions by capping these critical locations. This is eventually going to force his opponent to respond to it, but this fight here, definitely not going his way. Combination of teleporting in with the Big Mech and the Shooter Boys to blow away the Scourges, the Storm Boys as well. These mandrakes are not going to do anything against these war trucks, and only 2 raiders is not enough to deal with this amount of vehicle mass, especially with the tank bustas. This does not look like a very good position for Yang Wen-Li. I would be expecting a GG any moment here, because this is not really an army you can beat back with with a Mandrake squad and a Witch squad. That is not going to kill this.
6 minutes until taking hold victory.
See a second Witch squad in queue, and that is the pretty typical transition here in Tier 2, is Witches for Dark Eldar in this matchup. But against this big vehicle mass, GG is called. Very hard to deal with that big vehicle mass, especially with the way Destar was playing, using the Storm Boys and the Shooter Boys. I actually like kind of going melee there just to tie up the Scourges with the Shooter Boys. Generally speaking, you're not going to be putting Shooter Boys in melee, but there it makes sense as a way to keep the Scourges from doing damage to your vehicle mass. Hello, Blast as well, and hello again, Kez. Yes, we did have a full family cast there for a moment. And yeah, Blast is saying in chat that Destar did a really good job getting vehicles pretty quickly without really losing all that much. I would say losing some Shooter Boys and Slugger Boys is a pretty acceptable trade-off if I'm Orc there. Those are pretty cheap, replaceable units. He didn't really lose anything major in terms of economy. He didn't lose any points or WA banners, so he wasn't slowed down in any significant way. So let's launch into Game 2 here. We'll be on the map Fallen City. We'll see what Yang has in store for us in Game 2. See a Hull of Blood opening and a generator. Very interesting. Usually when you see Hull of Blood openings, you see Dark Eldar players play them very, very aggressively without a generator, because you want to put all your requisition into warriors and mandrakes early on, and then you'll add the generator when you plan to add an Archon and potentially Homunculus lab. So I'm going to be curious what he has cooked up here. Perhaps this is something like a harass build into a faster tier 2 with the early generator, or maybe he plans to get some LP2s, expecting maybe some more harass, given that this is a larger map. I would say that generally, though, LP2s kind of slow you down in this matchup as Dark Eldar, and I generally don't see players investing heavily in them. Instead, I tend to see this matchup going as a tug of war in the early game with aggression on both sides, trying to kind of trade things, and then delay your opponent's tier 1.5 or tier 2. Tier 1.5 for orcs being the thing you're trying to delay in most cases, prevent them from getting big shooters. See these mandrakes coming in here, harassing and kind of delaying the capping a little bit. This point's already taken though. Gretchen's already have the LP built up, and we're kind of seeing that same thing as we saw in Fata Morga from Destar here, going for the outer point first and then working his way back. Makes it harder for the Dark Eldar to harass using mandrakes in the early game, because he can only really contest this point. And then, well, Big Mac comes out, these guys just have to run away. Warrior squad now is up to 5 members very shortly here, but you don't really want to take this fight against the Big Mac. You kind of want to find somewhere else to do damage. So the question here, in my mind, if I'm Dark Eldar, is what is my goal, or my next angle to attack? Like, my goal is aggression, harass, and slowing down my opponent, but where can I attack on the map? Can't really attack here. We already have a Shoot-A Boy squad, a Big Mac. This LP is going to be built up very, very shortly. Ooh, this Tortured Slave might be going down to the Slugga Boys. Hopefully not. This squad has yet to be reinforced, only at 3 members. But I don't really love going over here and trying to do damage over here, because you already have a boys hut and a listening post up. So in all likelihood, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage with all the little guns on there. Kind of surprised he didn't try to chase this down and maybe kill it some more. Yes, the Shoot-A Boys are over here with the Big Mac doing a bit of harass, but maybe get a couple more models off from that, or even get a wipe on it. Especially because the Tower of Loathing was being upgraded here with an LP2 on it. So realistically, he could buy a bit more time there.
Green is best.
Tortured Slave kind of chilling over here. Doesn't have the requisition right now to build this LP. Don't see any more tech coming out for Yang Wen-Li just yet. Just the 3 warriors only on this squad and 5 on this one. Good harass here with the mandrakes, killing off these Slugga Boys and then capping this. Suppose at this point it's really about all you can realistically do. If you wanted to go all in here, you could reinforce both warrior squads fully and get a homunculus slab and an archon and go ham. But that would be quite risky here, especially with LP2s up already and a decent mass of Shoot-A Boys and Slugga Boys. So Yang just capping these critical locations, that's going to boost his requisition income. Going tier 2 here, adding on generators. So the question mark is going to be, what is the transition here in tier 2? I would expect a Witch Cult arena directly into witches. We have the homunculus slab built in transition, which further indicates that to me. On the side of Destar, we have a pile of guns. We don't have a vehicle option up yet, a mech shop. We just see additional wall banners coming in. Do we have... Yes, we do. Big shooters on the Shoot-A Boys. So it looks to me like he is going to opt for a bit of a timing push here, as I kind of mentioned in game 1, with the big shooters, is Slugga Boys, and try to do some damage here, because I think he's kind of sniffed out that Yang's playing a little too passive on this, which to me might indicate that he's trying to do some greedy teching. Usually, like I said, you'd expect the Dark Eldar to be all gas, no brakes, just pushing aggressively. But the fact that you're not seeing them do much beyond some mild harass and capping crits should indicate to you as an Orc player that they are probably teching behind and playing more cautiously as a result. Have the Archon coming in. Wraithbone armor for the warriors, but no Witch Cult Arena yet. I don't think you can tackle this mass of Shoota boys with big Shootas with only warriors and an Archon. The Witch Cult Arena is quite delayed here. This is all gonna get deleted. Good teleport in using the Big Mech so he can clear out these warriors. That looks like a GG to me. I'm being totally honest with you guys because I do not see how you're going to come back from this. Requisition is not high enough to even make a squad of witches. When this is done, warriors are all dead and the Archon's dead. Yup, GG is called. So game 2 here goes to Yang Wen-Li as well. Kind of thinking, if you want to go the fast tech route, I honestly, on this map, might do 3 Mandrakes and then do stealth. Kind of play the way he was in terms of harass, cap these crits, and then skip the warriors entirely. And just go straight fast tier 2 with maybe an Archon added on for a little bit of extra firepower. And then get my witches even faster. I think that'd be probably the play, but Yang is a much better player than me. Let's check chat in between games here. Guys talking about whether or not Tau is busted in here. Yes, I am casting these from replays today. I don't know if I'm going to be doing much gameplay myself. I have a pretty packed schedule today, but I was very curious when I saw this matchup earlier today. Unfortunately, I woke up at like 7 a.m. and they were already playing the series. Otherwise, I probably would have reached out to Montana about live casting it. But, you know, when you wake up, you're groggy and you see a series has just started, you're like, oh no, I can't really jump in with my body half awake. But let's jump in here to game 3. And yeah, Destar is looking very good in this series. The decision making is on point in terms of what his game plan seems to be in each game. And the way he's pulling off these wins is just what I would say is very clean, very standard play. Slug-a-boy, Gretchen, Boy's Hut, Generator, very standard there. See another Hall of Blood opening out of Yang Wen-Li here. And Yang going for 2 Mandrakes, no Generator. This to me indicates we're going to see 2 warrior squads full reinforced and probably, like I mentioned last time, all gas, no brakes. We're just going to go straight for aggression. On Tranquility's end here, I tend to like either attacking this point or this point first, so I might even send a Mandrake squad after capping this point forward just to kind of scout and see, did he fast capture this outer point and is he already building an LP here? Maybe then I would rotate over here and try to contest this, because realistically he can't be building on all the points at the exact same time. Instead, though, Yang going for just a safe cap order here, taking the 2 inner points, taking the outer point. I imagine these guys will go over here, take this outer point. See the first warrior squad coming out, reinforcing by 1 member. Second warrior squad soon behind, and the warrior squad is going to go forward immediately to this outer point and try to contest. So let's take a look through Fog of War. Yep. Kind of as expected based on what we saw in the last games, Destar is really preferring to do this capture the far point first because it helps to deal with harass here. The LP is already up, so it's going to take a lot more effort to decap this. The decision making here should really be not to try and push into this LP because you can have LP2 on the way. I like bringing the Gretchen here. Gretchen are not stealthed right now. You can reinforce this, and something you can do with the Gretchen here, because they do have a very small melee attack, is use them to do tie-up. So if he really commits to this push, you can then just bring them in and use them to force the warriors to run around. Trying to kill this Gretchen squad here and the Sluggaboy squad to slow down the cap of this relic. He actually went very, very conservatively on the side of Yang Wen-Li here with this cap order, taking this point and then moving in and taking his relic, which is really giving Destar the opportunity here to be aggressive over there and potentially cap that. This point, not up yet because of the cap order that he did, but this Mandrake squad will surely die if it stands there just due to the building fire from the boys' hut. After all, both members are very, very low. See the Archon added on here and in the battle on this side. At this point, still not captured because of the way this has transpired. Cap order decision on the side of Yang Wen-Li. Gotta keep these Mandrakes kind of kiting here. They're not gonna win against the Sluggaboy squad when they're low health. I like the multi-point harass here, but this squad surely is gonna die. Wow, lives by one member at 70 HP. Very close there. Stealth basically saving them as they run away. But what's the angle to do damage here? Reinforcing with Incubi on the Archon. Need to get these guys tight. And here, actually, we're seeing exactly what I was talking about earlier. The Gretchen squad, since there's really not much to repair here, can actually be used just to tie up the warriors and force the warriors to micro around. Sure, they're not doing much damage, but if the warriors aren't shooting, the DPS of this army from the Dark Eldar goes down pretty massively. And the Gretchen, while the members are free, the squad itself is not that expensive. So it buys a bit of time here for you to get the rest of your mass up, and we see really he needs to buy time to get big shooters up. And once you see these big shooters coming in, this is kind of the all-in moment. You now need to make a decision as Dark Eldar, whether you're going to try to tech or all in. I feel like in Yang's position, given how delayed this point has been, like he's just now capping it, and his opponent has been on all of his points except for his relic for this period of time, I feel pretty bad if I'm Yang at this point. My opponent's got solid economy. We check plus 62, plus 10. You've got 0 power income, but a little bit better requisition income just because of the way this is transpired with capping points and a little bit of harass here, but no power income. Not likely to be able to tech anytime soon as a result. On the side of Destar here, you have 2 Shooter Boy squads at 6 members. Well, 5 members, 6 members. You have a third one in here, actually? 3 squads total. Okay. 3 squads, all with big shooters. Can't really harass with the warriors and the Archon anymore because the big shooters are going to turn them into paste. So what do you go for here if you are Yang Wen-Li? replacing a squad of warriors. Homunculus lab. We have tier 2 on the way. We do not. We have a slave chamber with the torture chamber add-on to get some souls coming in. Don't know that you have enough to really do much here. Even if you get this second squad, you get the Sybarates on each squad. You throw the blinding grenades, the Terrafax grenades. I'm not sure it's enough damage. Maybe with the soul power, the Screams of the Damned, to break morale. But even then, you need tie-up on all of these shoot-a-boy squads, and when you have this many squads, it's very hard to do enough tie-up. DPS not really here either, in my mind, if I'm Dark Eldar. And good reposition there, using the jump from the Big Mech. This is exactly what you want to see out of the Orc. Split the army up in different directions. This makes it very hard for you to get them tied up again. And there's already one warrior squad down. That's a huge amount of DPS. These guys can't tie up anymore because they're stealth, so realistically the Gretchen here are not doing much beyond being annoying. But you really can't deal with this mass anymore. 3 shoot-a-boy squads, all with big shootas, at decent member counts for each squad. This army will be turned into paste if you try and fight this. Continuing to build warriors because honestly, I don't know. if I'm Dark Eldar here, I probably type GG and go next. If I'm being honest, this does not look like a winnable fight. Mandrakes tying up here, Archon tying up, but just not enough DPS. Each time, Destar is doing a very good job focus firing down the warriors, and that is the critical thing here. The Mandrakes are annoying, but realistically, they're not going to kill your whole army very quickly. You absolutely have to kill the warriors, which is where all the DPS is coming from in this fight. And you can see here, now the Mandrakes are just going to get kited forever and end up dead. And with how much has been spent on warriors, tier 2 is still super far behind, being forced to make another warrior squad. Kind of desperation play here in terms of trying to survive, but the Mandrakes are going down, the Archon is likely going to go down here. Tier 2 is miles off. Yes, we have these critical locations. They are not enough to save us here. Entire army is going to go down. Warriors are currently capping that strategic point that's been lost, but you're going to lose this one. I imagine because 2 games have already been lost in this series, that Yang does not want to type the GG here, because that will effectively conclude the series in the sense that he will be out already. Like I said, we will be playing all 5 games regardless, so we will see the remaining 2 games here. But if Yang loses this, it's a bragging point game at that point. You've effectively already lost the Emperor of the Hill position and will be out at least for the next round. There is always the option that players could come back in a later round and be voted in to potentially challenge the current Emperor of the Hill again. See the Homunculus added on here. Good addition, especially with the Torture Amp, because at least the Homunculus is adding a good amount of DPS, and the slow from the Torture Amp can be quite powerful. Good focus fire again. Warriors continue just getting melted. And this is now very, very unwinnable with the Storm Boys coming in. These warriors will never be able to do DPS again. Yes, you can chase with the Archon and the Homunculus here, but let's be real, they are not going to live. And the Storm Boys are going to clear up these, and that will be GG. Decap this, kill the Homunculus, kill the warriors. GG is called. So Destar dethrones the current Emperor of the Hill, Yang Wen-Li. But we still have 2 more games to go in this series. Again, these are kind of bragging points games, but let us see if Yang can manage to pull back some games and at least turn this to more of a close series, but very well played each game there by Destar. So game 4 here, we will be on the map Blood River, and spawning in on the bottom side we have Destar, and on the top side we have Yang Wen-Li. See another Hall of Blood opening. This is going to be a much better map overall for Hall of Blood openings. Reason being, much shorter distance between the bases here means that your warriors can effectively go and harass ASAP. You can use your 2 Mandrake squads and cap these points, and then just send your warriors forward, start harassing here, and potentially deny your opponent capping points. I think that ability to be aggressive on the map early does favor Dark Eldar here. This map can be either very good for them or very bad for them, depending on the matchup, because it can be pretty easy to set up defensive positions on Blood River, but in certain matchups where you're playing Hall of Blood openings, the short rush distance is very beneficial to you. See the first Shoot-A-Boy squad coming out here. The our listening post was captured first, so again we're seeing this same kind of cap order out of Destar here, where he's preferring the far points and then working his way back in his base. The Mandrakes come forward immediately after capping here, start harassing. We actually see 3 Mandrake squads and a warrior squad. So he will be capped on warriors until he builds a slave chamber. Has an Archon in queue, so we should see slave chamber very shortly. Smart use of kind of the game mechanics here. Queuing the Archon first, then building the slave chamber while the Archon is being made. Cuts a little bit of time off here and ensures that you can get the Archon and the warrior squad out a little bit quicker. We have... We do not have the Mandrake stealth researched yet. Coming in now that the Archon is done. So we're seeing kind of a hybrid of options. This squad of Mandrakes is going to likely die here. If it survives, it's going to survive with almost 0 HP. But it's being chased down pretty aggressively. This tie-up over here... Well, that squad not long for this world. That's just too much DPS between the warriors and the Archon and the Mandrakes. But the Mandrake squad over here dies, so that's 1 Mandrake squad down. However, the Shoot-A-Boy squad very far away. Good kill on the listening post there, and a decap happening. Gotta be careful with how you position, so actually a very smart teleport there because the distance to get back to his base is not very far. If he tried to walk through here, he'd surely lose this squad to the warriors and the Archon. But not taking the bait and walking through the army, using the teleport to get into a better position. Yes, he loses a couple members, but he's able to retreat into the base. Mandrake's capping the crit over here. This position looks okay if I'm Yang Wen-Li, but it's also very playable still if I'm Destar. I've only really lost 1 point, got a Mandrake squad. I have my shooter boys, my 3 squads up. I have my pile of guns and my big shooters coming in. And as we saw in the last game, once the big shooters are out, the DPS here goes through the roof and can absolutely melt your army. Members still low though, so there's some opportunity here to do some damage. The question here is, what are we looking at from Yang? No tech coming in yet. An extra tortured slave. While the members on these squads are low is when you want to fight this with the big shooters. You do not want him to get a bigger mass, because then it's going to be very hard for you to just kind of DPS down a squad and take down a significant chunk of his DPS. So prioritizing this cap and the Tower of Loathing here, kind of rough. That Tower of Loathing is going to go down. Yes, it's extra economy, but the question mark I have, yeah, you're better economy already. With the critical locations, you really need to do some damage in a fight here. So what's the thinking here on the side of Yang? Doing a rotation here to try and get to the other side, harass this point. So many shooter boys though. We have 3 shooter boy squads still. Thought that was a 4th. It is a 4th, wow. Squads overlapping there. So 4 shooter boys, all are going to have big shooters. This is going to be a timing push here to try and do some substantial damage. On the Yang, we have a homunculus getting added on, so no tier 2 just yet. Gonna wait for that homunculus and then go, I imagine. Combination of the torture amp to slow the squads down, plus the Archon to lock one in place and do some bonus damage. Extra warrior squad coming out here. Yeah, you can't really fight this until you have the whole shebang ready to go here. You're going to need the Terrafax grenades, you're going to need the torture amp, you're going to need the lockdown from the Archon, and the tie-up, and then just go. Toss everything and go. Given that the members were quite low, yeah, this is looking quite good for Yang. DPS is there, torture amp slows everything down, Terrafax grenades. Yeah, this looks like a winning fight for Yang. Falling back here, all the squads still up, but member damage done to each one, plus the morale break on 2 out of 3 squads. Incubi died here, but pull back, take some damage, or take down a Wa banner here. Definitely a winning trade, but what are we doing behind it? Splinter cannons, another warrior squad. We're going all in. There's not going to be a long tech out of this. We're going to get this 3rd warrior squad, add the warrior Siberate to it, and we're going to try to just crush this. Siberate, yep.
Victory countdown has begun.
Member numbers still pretty low. Bring the mandrakes here, bring everything. Still eco advantage on the map too, so this has worked out okay for Yang because he's had eco advantage most of the game and he's been trading much better this game than the previous ones. But one squad goes down, Storm Boys come in. We gotta kill a squad of the Shooter Boys here, which it looks like we will. Splitting the warrior squads so you can out DPS the Storm Boys. Archon continuing to tie up. Only 2 squads of Shooter Boys here, but this is definitely a GG position. You're gonna wipe that and end your opponent here. Like I said, no real tier 2 until you know you have a winning fight. You need that kind of all-in fight in order to go tier 2 here, otherwise the pressure would just be too much from your opponent. So, good game. Win on the board for Yang Wen-Li on the map Blood River here. Let us get into game number 5. We will be on the map Titan's Fall. This is another map where we have relatively short rush distances between the 2 bases. So you can do Hall of Blood here, and it's quite effective because we also have these kind of far points that are nice to contest over. This here, the relic, the strategic point, but we see the choice from Yang Wen-Li being Dark Foundry here. So we're going to see the good old Hellion jet bike play. Be curious if we see the variants that we saw earlier where he went 3 Mandrake, or if we're going to just see the more traditional 2 Mandrake, fast, homunculus slab, and then straight into jet bikes. See actually a much more conservative cap order here by Destar on this map, taking the inner points first and then going to the outer points, perhaps after the last game kind of expecting a Hall of Blood opening, but good kind of game theory mentality here. Switch things up. You've ran Hall of Blood openings multiple games in a row. Your opponent likely expects you to do a Hall of Blood opening now, and is playing a little bit more conservatively as a result to not misposition themselves. So you can be a little bit greedier here. No homunculus slab yet, but no third Mandrake added as well. Okay, so this is the variant we saw earlier that's a little bit more map control focused, where you're delaying getting the homunculus slab in favor of getting 3 Mandrakes to cap points faster, and then add the homunculus slab after. I would say if you're doing this variant, you need to be aggressive with one of the 3 Mandrake squads, preferably 2, so that after you get these points down and building, you're doing some damage on the map. So I like this, going with the Hellions immediately, hitting this listening post. However, there's already some Gretchens there to heal it up. Using these 2 Mandrake squads to go after the Shooter Boy squad, and the Hellions to go after the Slugger Boy squad to potentially decap this here. No real damage happening here on the side of Destar to his opponent, but also not really a ton happening here, just the delay on this relic. So advantage Yang in terms of economy, because Yang has his relic up, his opponent does not. He has a generator. Once this finishes building and he gets a post up over here, he'll be in a very good position. Destar slightly ahead on eco right now just because he already has a lot of listening posts up, but that's going to equalize very shortly. Second Hellion squad added. Mandrakes coming in here. I like this, continuing to harass and delay getting this relic point. Like I said, this is a very open and spread out map. You have a point over here, you have a point here, you have this relic point. Whatever you can do to kind of tie up your opponent's attention in multiple spots and potentially delay or decap points in this matchup is very, very impactful. I would say these Hellions should not be capturing this crit. They should try to go here, maybe pick off a Gretchen squad or pick off a Wa banner or an LP, depending on how your opponent's building up. Jet bikes finally in production here. These Slugger boys will die very quickly to the jet bike, but looking to harass more with the jet bike, bringing it over here to help deal with the Slugger boys and the Shooter boys. I would tie up the Shooter boys here with the Hellions and try to get some kills on the members there with the Reaver jet bike. Then as you continue to add jet bikes on, should be in a very good position. Really need a second generator here, which is already on the way as Yang. Otherwise your spam of jet bikes is going to start stalling out and you won't really be able to attack behind. Hole of Blood being added on, this indicates to me, our tech's already on the way. So I would expect potentially a third generator here and stopping at maybe 4 or 5 jet bikes and then a transition into witches. That would be my expectation for this. I'm looking at it on the side of Destar. We have the mech shop coming up, so he's going fast mech shop here. You can see the kind of difference in thinking here. If you see Hole of Blood, he's going pile of guns fast and getting big shooters. If you see that your opponent is going Dark Foundry, you go for a fast mech shop, skipping pile of guns. Reason being, the vehicles deal with the jet bikes more effectively. And in the case of an infantry fight, you really just need to get to high DPS on your Shooter boys and a big mass of Shooter boys, as we saw in the games earlier. Once you get to that critical mass, it can be very, very difficult to deal with. See a war track coming out here. Is this big mech going to go down? No, it will not. And now that this war track is out, you have to pull back because these jet bikes will not do anything against this war track. They will just end up dead. Scourges coming out. Are we going to see a second squad? Yes, we will, but he needs a slave chamber to get the population. Do we have... We do not have a Witch Cult Arena up yet. We have targeting module for the jet bikes coming in. That is very useful, but there's really not much infantry on the field for Destar here. We have one Slugger Boy squad and one Shooter Boy squad with the big mech. I would say I'd probably skip targeting module here in favor of a faster Witch Cult Arena and getting a squad of witches out. Because this massive jet bikes is not going to do anything against a war track. Yes, you can blow away the infantry, but it's really not going to be that impactful because he's going to be massing vehicles, right? War trucks, war tracks, and then the jet bikes are really just not going to do much against that. Whereas a squad of witches here would be much, much better as a tank unit to help keep your Scourges alive. See kind of the same thing as game earlier, where the Scourges are just getting tied up and destroyed, and then once the war truck comes out, the war truck has enough anti-infantry DPS to be able to just murder the Scourge squad. Yes, he's lost on the side of Destar most of his infantry. Again, not important. You're going for a vehicle mass here. see the stealth Gretchens as well, repairing, so he didn't even get that war truck, but lost 2 Scourge squads. Well, most of a Scourge squad. He got out with 1 member on this one, I think.
3 minutes until taken will victory.
Losing a Scourge squad, especially with all the Dark Lances on it. Jet bikes, again, are not useful at all here at this point. Already have Storm Boys out too, so if you keep pumping Scourges, you can just jump on top of them with the Storm Boys. Granted, they do get kind of shafted here by the jet bikes on the side. Let's take a look at economy for Destar. Looking pretty decent. Plus 30 and plus 86. Higher on the side of Wen-Li though, because he has this big gen. Been able to defend this position, so he's able to keep this big gen, which is a substantial advantage here. So potentially your option here is to just kind of out-eco this, get enough Scourge mass to be able to deal with the vehicle mass, and if your opponent is on a lower eco pretty much the whole time, at a certain point you should be in the lead. Yeah, we're seeing 3 Scourge squads here, and jet bikes just kind of carefully microing this so that the jet bikes do not get immediately obliterated by the war track. See a raider added on. Still no Witch Cult Arena, right? Correct. I'd expect a Witch Cult Arena before too long. Ooh. That was a big stun. All the jet bikes disabled. 2 war tracks on the ground now. 1 goes down finally, but you're losing a lot of jet bikes there to the war track. Finally getting some decent damage in with the combination of the Raider and the Scourges. So this fight does go Wen-Li's way, but very, very close actually. You can see the difficulty that the Dark Eldar has in this matchup once the tier 2 or tier 1.5 options kick in for Orc. So, well played by both players. Wen-Li does pull out 2 games, but is dethroned as the Emperor of the Hill. So, currently voting is going on the Vox of War Discord, as well as registrations for round 8. So we will find out soon who will be facing up against Destar in the next round of the Emperor of the Hill tournament series here, hosted by Montana. Hello Destar. Nice to see you in chat. Yeah, very well played, man. You put on a clinic here of exactly how to dismantle Dark Eldar as Orc. Felt like your decision making was on point all these games. Even the losses, you had the right game plan, and it's just little things that didn't go your way, which, you know, that happens, especially against a player of Wen-Li's caliber. So, GG. That is actually going to do it for me for now. I have to go and, you know, spend time with the family. It is the holiday season. Like I said, got some other things this evening as well to tackle. And then, you know, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. So I got plenty of things to do for Christmas Eve and all that. So thank you for tuning in, guys. It was fun to review these games and cast this series today. And Kez is saying Dawn of War is greater than family. I will not agree on that point, sir. Dawn of War and gaming is important and fun, but hobbies do not come before family, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for all of you, fortunately for me. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.